The peak of the mountain determines the depth of the valley. The depth of the valley determines the peak of the mountain. How high you are, how many successes you've had, there's going to be an equal low. And as low as you've ever been or are now as you listen in, there's going to be a rebound effect that brings you the exact opposite to the height. And that's called life, these ups and downs in life. I had not experienced the depth of the valley to that level prior to 2021 and 2. It was like the craziest time, man, like going through it. Now I'm like, okay, I understand why I've been given these challenges. So now I could coach at an even deeper level to not only the athletes I'm still working with, but a lot of my clients I'm coaching and training online, other fitness pros, trainers, business owners who are really at a point of overwhelm, exhaustion, burnout, all of the aspects that, hey, if we're not careful, you can have all the successes in the world and you can have that. But it ultimately doesn't mean anything if you burn out and you die.
All right. Wise words from our guest today, Todd Durkin. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 410 of the Strength Coach Podcast, brought to you by Perform Better, the experts in functional training and rehabilitation. I'm your host, Anthony Rana. All right. Like I said, we have on Todd Durkin, world-class coach, trainer, author, speaker, changes lives every single day. He gets people's minds right. If you've ever seen him live, you're going to see it today on the podcast, the energy that he brings. And his mission in life is actually to positively impact 10 million people through his work. He's the founder of Fitness Quest 10 in San Diego, and he's trained dozens of NFL, MLB, UFC, current, former. He's still doing it, which is very cool. He launched his new fitness and coaching franchise called Impact X Performance in 2024, 7 locations. We're going to talk all about that, but mostly what we're going to talk about today is his latest book, came out in March, Coaching Greatness. It's his coaching manifesto. We're going to talk about some of the traits that make a great coach. He got a story about his favorite coach, which I think is great. I love that because it just reminds me of my favorite coaches. So you're going to hear all about that. And Todd's a pretty inspirational guy. He gets emotional a couple times. So it's definitely a fun interview for me. There is one point, if you're watching, you're going to see that we kind of froze. I did my best to edit that and kind of get the best of what Todd was saying out of that. But yeah, it's fine otherwise. So, guys, I'm actually going to see Todd this week at the Chicago Perform Better Summit, June 12th to the 14th. They're also going to be in Long Beach, July 17th to the 19th, and then in Providence, August 14th to the 16th, similar to last year, Thursday, 3 different business talks, and then Friday and Saturday, the lectures, practicals, and the networking room. A lot of great feedback from that last year where you can go, you have a choice to just go in the room. There's going to be 2 or 3 of the speakers there. And you could just hang with them, ask them questions, go say hi, whatever you want to do. I like it because sometimes I feel like I can't just do all the lectures and practicals all day. I always feel like I need to take a break at some point. So this is a good way to do that and go hang with some of the presenters. And as always, Friday night social, Kevin Hirchin will be on guitar, lots of free beer and wine, and you kind of network with the presenters there as well and the other attendees, which is always very cool. Lots of new speakers and no Sunday. Check out the site for some of the deals. They do bring a friend for free deals, and then they're always doing bring your team at a reduced price. You can check all that out at performbetter.com. All right, let's get right to it with Todd Durkin. All right, Todd, brother, thank you so much for doing this. Good to see you, and looking forward to this interview.
Anthony, thank you. It is so great to be here. I'm looking forward to seeing you coming up in Chicago in this summer, and of course, this interview here. I'm honored that you have me on today.
Absolutely. It's funny. I was looking back, and I thought, you've been on the show. Actually, you were in my book, Be Like the Best. We've had interviews like where we've done stuff like for Perform Better, like, hey, let's, where I've had a couple coaches on talk about your topic, but we've never really sat down and done this. So I thought, like, what is this? Is this right? I'm like 18 years, like we've kind of known each other through this, podcast and strengthcoach.com and the Perform Better family. And so, like I said, I'm looking because this is Coaching Greatness. I mentioned it in the intro. This is your latest book. It came out in March. And it's your coaching manifesto. And I listened to a couple of your podcasts, which are always inspiring. It's always impactful, right? See what I did there? It's the impact show, guys. Todd, let's do the 35,000 foot overview of this book and who it's for and why now.
And real quick, just let me say thank you to you for your commitment of what you're doing with this podcast. And I know the commitment it takes to every week consistently not skip and deliver great content. And I know what you put out and what Mike puts out and all your guests, you do such an amazing job. And I know that commitment behind closed doors is not as always as easy as it seems. So I just want to say thank you, really, because you're doing such an amazing job. 18 years, by the way, that you think back, like, how is that even possible? Like, podcasts are just getting started, and here we are in 2025. So, man, kudos to you and what you're doing, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been an interesting run. I kind of think, wow, I've been so lucky to kind of have Coach Boyle on 2 times. I mean, Coach Boyle, we missed like 3 weeks. I went away at the end of April. We missed 3 weeks, and he was like, man, we haven't talked in a while. And I thought, it's amazing. I'm so lucky to be able to be on the phone with Coach Boyle, every other week, and then have people like you on and all these legends. Because people will ask me sometimes. I was on a podcast recently, and they were like, "Who's your, who do you?" I'm like, I'm sorry, but I can't. Al Vermeil and Stu McGill and all of these people, legends that have been on the show. I can't go there. So yeah, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. It's been a good run.
Absolutely. So what was the question about the 35,000 foot level?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like let's the book, what Coaching Greatness, give us just a good overview of this and who it's for and why now?
Yeah. Well, I'll share this about the book, Coaching Greatness. This book has been in me for a little while now, and I contemplated writing it 2018, 2019. And I knew that, with who I was coaching and how long I had been coaching, about 25 years now, that I wanted to write a manifesto for a lot of the young coaches and trainers who I have the opportunity to mentor. And then something hit in 2020. I think it was called like the pandemic or something like that, and got a little sidetracked. And through that journey of life and how life has its ups and downs, I wrote a book a couple of years back called True Strength. And truth be told, I really wanted to write this book first before that book, but it wouldn't have made sense. It wouldn't have made sense to come out with this book, even though these are principles that are tried and true, and then come out with True Strength, because True Strength was very timely when it came out a little over a year ago. And I brought this book out. It was really about a very, very challenging, difficult time from, I'll say, 2020 to 2023. And that's part of greatness, is going through a really difficult time. And then how are you reborn, remade, reinvented, whatever word you want to use, on the other side of that. And True Strength came out first, and then obviously Coaching Greatness then just came out here early 2025.
I love it because I think when maybe people in the fitness industry, they know your success already. You've done so much. We talked about it in the intro. And they think, a lot of times people think, well, it just comes easy for Todd. Like there are no valleys. It's all peaks, right? So it's not like that.
I start off with my True Strength book with that quote, one of my clients, his name is Pastor David Jeremiah, and it talks about the peak of the mountain determines the depth of the valley. The depth of the valley determines the peak of the mountain, which means like how high you are, how many successes you've had, there's going to be an equal low. And as low as you've ever been or are now as you listen in, there's going to be a rebound effect that brings you the exact opposite to the height. And that's called life, these ups and downs in life. I had not experienced the depth of the valley to that level prior to 2021 and 2, like between physical pain with my back and burnout and everything I had been going through. Man, like it was really, really challenging. And Now, on the other side of that, after I was diagnosed with sleep apnea and all these things, it was like the craziest time, man, like going through it. Now I'm like, okay, I understand why I've been given these challenges. So now I could coach at an even deeper level to not only the athletes I'm still working with, but a lot of my clients I'm coaching and training online, other fitness pros, trainers, business owners who are really at a point of overwhelm, exhaustion, burnout, all of the aspects that, hey, if we're not careful, you can have all the successes in the world and you can have that. But it ultimately doesn't mean anything if you burn out and you die. Or, like I've shared before, I used to share this in my lessons at Perform Better in working with a lot of the pro athletes, specifically NFL quarterbacks. A lot of times people would see them on TV and they just think they're NFL quarterbacks and they're good in football and they got it all together and they're making millions of dollars. And while they're making millions of dollars, not one of them all has it all together. Like everyone's got something. Everyone's got something. Everyone has something. So that really came to a poignant, head there in 2021, 2, and 3 for me of that empathy that everyone's got something special in them, but everyone also has something that they're battling and facing. And how, as a coach, and that's one of my principles, how can I have the genuine understanding, empathy, concern, and care to say, hey, how can I help you through not only the best of times, but also the worst of times as well? That's how the whole coaching greatness is, because coaching greatness ain't just about winning Super Bowls and all-star games and MVPs and this and that. A lot of it's about saving lives, man, saving lives.
Yeah. Let's take a little left turn before we get more into coaching greatness. I want to stay on that topic of the true strength piece and those challenges. It's actually probably harder for somebody like you, because when we look at Todd Durkin, we're like, guy's always up. He's always up here, right? He's got all these people that he's responsible for, your coaching tree. I'll use the word responsibility because you're teaching them, you're coaching them as well. You have your clients, you have Fitness Quest 10, you have Impact Tech, you have all this stuff going on. And then when that hits, you really have to put on the game face, because it's even harder for somebody like you who really has so much more riding on this. And, hey, look, you're a human. You could have imposter syndrome too. There might've been times when you were sitting there going, wait a minute, am I really this guy? Am I, I'm feeling bad. I'm supposed to feel good all the time. I'm supposed to be upbeat.
Man, and it sounds like you got some good wisdom there. Like, right, like you've been around the block. Of course, all of it, because I faced all of that and going through the difficult times. And even though I've always been fairly balanced and I've been very open and real and authentic with my followers or people who I disciple and mentor, it was a tough time. And I had to come to a very, very difficult decision of, was I going to share all of this or not? Because I was airing my dirtiest laundry, meaning this was really hard personally, just to walk through it by yourself and walk through what I walked through with a devastating back injury that, they told me I needed a 14-hour back surgery to have it redesigned and everything else. And then I ended up saying, man, I don't know if I can continue to do this. I might die. Maybe I just hang it all up. Like I did some soul searching, like anyone would do soul searching at a deep level for not months, but for several years in 2020, 21. And then led to that, diagnosis with the sleep apnea. And the reason I say that is because I'm saying, should I share all this? Like, if they really knew all of this, would they think the same? Would everything I am all about? Like, I'm getting emotional because I've always said, you show up as you are, the good and the bad. Like, you got to show up. So I was going back and looking at my presentations. Like, I've said this. This is the time that I have to really be real and transparent. This is the time that I got to be like, I'm almost broken. And I'm like, this is me now. I'm like, all right, God, I don't know where you're taking me, but I'm along for the ride. You want me to share this? Like, I don't know where this is going. I've had 20 years in this career doing this. Are you taking me to a deeper level, or are you taking me on a left turn and you want me to go in a different direction? And I had a lot of discussions to myself as well as my mentors, the people I work with, about life and what's the next season going to look like in life, and what is that like? Because I rode for 3.5 years. I give it a 3.5 year window from 2020 to 23 and a half, that where I was in the most introspective, deepest time of my life, really trying to figure out, man, I had all these successes and I've been significant in a lot of these ways, but God, are you calling me to a deeper level? Are you calling me to do something even greater? Or do you want me to like give it up and go do something else? Like, what is it? And I was, if any of you have ever been physically, and you know this, like when you're physically in pain, it messes with you mentally when you're
Yeah.
physically hurting. And I know back pain. That's what ended my football career 25 years ago. I know back pain. And I had never experienced back pain like I had experienced back pain during this time when I was trying to fight for not only my gym, but all the people in my mastermind, their gyms, the industry, and what we stand for as a gym and as gyms and trainers and coaches. And I'm trying to fight for everyone and trying to be a superhero. And I'm just feeling my back break. And I'm like, get on my back. Get on my back. We got
Yeah.
this. And guess what broke? My back. My back broke. If you looked at a picture from that, it's in true strength. You're like, impossible. That's not possible. And I look at it, I'm like, holy she's like, how is that possible? I don't know. Other than like anyone, I'm in the middle of a journey just like you are. And like anyone else listening in is like, we're on this journey and we're trying to serve the best we can serve the people who we serve. And whether that be 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people, 100,000 people, 1 million people, 10 million, 100 million people, it's like, I'm just here to serve. And I don't know what's going to happen other than I'm going to serve my tail off. And that's
Yeah.
what happened.
Love it. I love that you mentioned the mentors. Like we have to have that group, those people to also kind of go to. And I was listening to a couple of your podcasts when the book was launching, when Coaching Greatness was launching, and one thing that really I was like, I gotta talk to Todd about this, because it was the dedication to Coach Wolf, the Silver Fox, and I love this because I think all of us that are listening, we're coaches, and we all have that person, whether it was a coach or a mentor, and I'm talking non-family, right? Not my parents or whatever, that somebody that's really inspired us or taught us to see things differently, or wants to inspire us to kind of inspires us to inspire others. And then right away, I was telling you earlier, when you mentioned Coach Wolf, I'm like, Bruce Reggie, right? My 9, 10, and 12-year-old hockey coach. I love this guy. Invited him to he was at my high school graduation because that's who he was, and that's the impact he had on me. Mike Roviello, my first I was working as a bar back when I was 1986, and then I became a bartender under him. I worked for him at a couple different bars in my early 20s, and he taught me so much, and that's what made me think. And so I want you to expand on, tell us about Coach Wolf and his impact on you, because I really love this type of stuff.
Man, you may need to cut me off because that's my guy.
Yeah.
Coach Wolf's my guy. Like, listen, I'm the youngest of 8 kids. So I grew up in New Jersey and we didn't have much money. I was the lunch ticket kid. So giving the lunch ticket lady my ticket so I could eat lunch. And the reason I share that is because Coach Wolf was the legendary football coach in town. And in New Jersey, if you're from Brick, that's Football Town, USA. I mean, he's won the most state championships in New Jersey history. He's fifth overall in the nation's history in overall wins. And here I am, when I was 5 years old, my parents getting divorced. My second oldest brother was the quarterback of the team. So I was the kid hanging on the fence watching my brother play, and then the Silver Fox would be coming up in a 3-piece suit with high top black boots and a top cap like Bear Bryant. And I'm like, I'm 5, Ant. I'm like, who is this guy? There was some air about him that was different. And
Yeah.
I'm young. I'm like, I don't know anything going on. I'm like, I want to be like this guy someday. And fast forward, as I started to have some success in sport when I was in middle school, and I got Pop Warner All-American, he came to me and said, "Hey, son, you have a bright future here, and I'm going to take you under my wing, and I'm going to help guide you to where you want to go." Now, when you're coming from a family with nothing and you don't have the money to go to college, like I was like, this is my guy. Like I'll do whatever. So I didn't party. I didn't drink. I was doing good in school. I was busting my tail. Like that was my life. And what ended up happening in that was he came and basically he mentored me, and I started as a freshman my senior year. And in my freshman year in high school, I started as a varsity quarterback, and then he helped guide me for 4 years into getting a scholarship to William and Mary, all the way through at that time. So Coach Wolf was someone who always had my back, man, and I would do anything for him until the day when I was in college, when I was 20 years old, and my father passed. And my dad was, my father meant the world to me. Well, when he passed, Coach Wolf drove down 7 hours after a Friday night game to simply come down and give me a handshake and a hug. And in that handshake was $100. $100 is a lot of money, especially back then. But
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
right. But I'll never forget. I'm 20 years old. Coach Wolf driving 7 hours to come give me a hug and a handshake, give me $100 and turn around and drive back 7 hours. Now, different. There wasn't Venmo then, but
yeah,
right.
yeah,
But here's the point. Who can I see now? Some young kid who's going through hell, who just lost his parent, or is in a major fight, or his sibling is hooked on drugs, or something happened. And and next thing you know, I could be the coach that Coach Wolf was for me, and no one ever knew it. No one ever knew what you did for that young man or that young girl on that. Man, Coach Wolf, he inspired me to be the man I am. And I always say this is like, and I mean this isn't a facetious thing. Like, you can take me out of brick, but that'll always be there.
yeah,
That will always be there. And I'm getting emotional because that's my guy. Like, and everyone's
yeah,
got a guy or a girl. Like, everyone's got somebody. I would die for that. Like, that he changed my life, and I'll never forget that. When I'm in a huddle now and I'm looking around at all those eyes, I don't know who I'm talking to. I don't know who the one person is going to be that says that's my guy, that's my dude. TD's my guy, and then we connect, and then something happens a year or 5 or 12 years later, and they remember that huddle moment, something I said to me, man. At the end of the day, I don't care. I got nothing left. Like, that's going to be a life saved. And to me, that's why
yeah.
I do what I do.
Love it. And it reminded me, this is why I love that story. And like I said, I know we all have that guy or gal or that coach or that person that, non-family related. But one thing, it's going to sound weird to you, but that really struck it for me was the handshake. You had said, he shook my hand and I shook it firm and looked him in the eye and he taught me that. And I was like, that's such a little thing, but it goes beyond, hey, Todd, you're going to run this route, or you got to lift this, or we're going to add 5 pounds to the bar. And it reminded me of a kid that I trained from like 12 to 19. And he, I had a saying to him. I said, look, this is how you do anything is how you do everything.
Just the exact thing. Yep.
And what's amazing now, I didn't know, like you just said, when you looked in that huddle, you don't know how it's going to impact somebody. Well, his parents, a couple of years later, this is about three years ago, they sent me they didn't tell him, but he never said this to me, but they sent me his college essay, and it included that quote and me and like that impact that I had on him. So like you're saying, you don't know how later on down the line what you're going to do for these people. And it reminds me of Trait 5. Great coaches walk the walk, you are your habits. And now I know you're going to say, look, one might not be important than the others. Putting them in order was probably tough, but I feel like if you don't do this one, right? Like how can you, if you're not walking the talk, if you're not your habits, how can you Trait 10? Great coaches have the ability to inspire and instill belief in people to be their best. How do you do that if you're not walking the walk? So expand on walking that walk.
Well, I'll give you the example in that from Coach Wolf is
Okay.
this. And I still wake up to this day. There's days I wake up in one night and I hear his voice. Now he passed away before COVID, but here's what I hear: run it again, run it again, run it again. And it's in my head. I'm like, run it again. I've run it 37 times on a Wednesday night, and run it again. And because habit, right? When you have the right habits and you do it over and over again, it's not how many times can you do it so that you don't get it wrong. It's how many times can you do it right in a row. And we would do that. That became a habit. And what I learned from that in the habits of a great coach is what Coach Wolf taught me. You talk about the handshake. That's a habit. It's not a surprise that after every game, win or loss, the habit was he would stand at the doorway and he'd shake everyone's hand and look me in the eye and say thank you, from the guy that left first to the guy that left last. Every handshake. I'm like, how many coaches do that nowadays? None. And say thank you. When you win a game, it's about the kids. When you lose a game, it's on me. How many coaches do that nowadays? No, the kids didn't perform. They didn't. No. If you lose, it's on you. If you win, it's on them. Like, these are habits. Now we can get into personal habits, which I get into the book on that, obviously. And I talk about the little things like doing your W legs every Sunday and doing your 10 forms of wealth, and lessons I've learned from my mentors and coaches and wisdom along the way. Like, those are habits. And ultimately, you become your habits. You are your habits. Your habits become who you are. And that's where it comes to, if I was coaching you and you, but anyone here, be like, all right, let's look at what's going well, what's not going well. What habits can we create that are championship level habits? Business, relationship, finances. You want to create a certain amount of wealth. All right, let's create some habits that are going to allow you to excel at that level financially, professionally, whatever that is. Personally, your own energy. What habits do we have to have? So I go deep into that on the walk your talk. A lot of people say it. Most people don't do it. Are you willing to do what you say?
When I was listening, and it's going to kind of bring up that story of Coach coming down after your dad passed, and you had said, which I thought was, I just loved this piece of it. Great coaches show up when you need them most. And it reminded me of the first time I heard it was through Coach Boyle, but this quote, it's not from Coach Boyle, but first time I heard it: nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And that really changed the way I approached some of the things I was doing. And you have trait too. Great coaches out care. A lot of times we talk about outworking. You're talking about out caring. Besides the time Coach came down there, what does that look like for you? What have you done to out care? Talk to us about that.
As I record this live with you right now, and I'm getting ready to not only go to Chicago, but right after Chicago, I'm going to a wedding of one of my high school athletes who I coach. My son, Luke, my oldest son, who's 22, his teammate who I coach is getting married in Tennessee. And I always look at success and what out caring is. Do you get invited to your players' weddings? Now, he's a young man. He's getting married. He's early 20s. And I think about sometimes how the emphasis we put in sport or what we're doing. And I'm like, if you're getting invited to weddings, you're doing something right. You're making an impact far beyond the 4 years you had in high school or the one season you had him in Biddy League basketball on that. To out care means it's those, when this young man who I'm going to was deciding, does he want to play college football or not? And he came over and I'm spending hours with him in the backyard talking about the pluses and minuses of college football. And is he going to do that or not? And is he going to go for that or not? And like, it goes way beyond the 4 days a week in the weight room for 2 hours at a time and going to the beach workouts and all this stuff. Like, that's cool. Like, great coaches are going to do that. You're going to show up and you can get people better and you're going to pull everything out of them and you're going to be a great coach. But to me, the best coaches in the world, that's when you can be a little tough and you can pull it out of them, but then you can show also the softer side of, hey, tell me how life's going. What do you want out of this game of life? How can I help you at a deeper level? What can I do to help you? And you have that true, genuine, authentic care to help a young man like Coach Wolf helped me, or a coach would help you. Like, that to me is great coaches out care. Let's just even use it in the non-sport side, in just fitness, in running gyms now for 25 years, at Fitness Quest 10, at Impact X Performance, and all the mentorees that I work with. Like, how can I care for the people who I coach? Like, I literally just had a call 2 hours ago and there's, a couple dozen people on the call and we're going through all of the things that they need help and coaching with. It's one thing to coach them with, another thing to follow up afterwards and then say, hey, talk to me. What's going on here? What's the true meaning of this? Like, to me, when you genuinely can care for someone, like, that's what life's all about.
Yeah. And like I said, I know one trait isn't more important than the other, but it kind of brings back to great coaches are great listeners and then they lead. And that's important because a lot of times we have this agenda that we're thinking like the X's and O's, and then these are even maybe a lesson, a general lesson for them. But when you're like you said in that call, you're really listening to them, and then you're gonna be like, hold. Tell me what that really means. That's the important piece because then now you can have a real conversation, authentic conversation.
I think I start with that one because think about when you're a young trainer, a lot of times you're a little insecure of your experience. So I remember back in the day when I was starting, I was probably talking a little too much about my football career or my
Yeah.
accolades or like I didn't have accolades in the fitness field, but like in sport. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. They're coming in to lose weight or to get faster, or to get better. They don't care that you were all whatever conference or this or that. Like, I mean, cool if you want to share that, but probably a little too much talk then about me. Whereas now that's not important. What's important is listening, asking the right questions, and then listening, like truly listening, not just like ask the question and you're thinking about your response, like listening, making notes in your phone about what they truly are experiencing, and then leading them. That's the key because once you can ask the right questions and you listen to the responses, you're getting some emotional cues from them about how you can most powerfully help them. And that might mean texting on a regular basis. It might mean a silly get your mind right video that I do to get in their heads, on a Saturday or Sunday, because I know that on Sundays they tank or before a game is it just so happens that in this case, an NFL quarterback really enjoyed receiving messages on Sunday mornings so that he could be dialed in and focused and have his mantra of what he needed to go out and compete with. So to me, it's asking the right questions, listening, and then how do you lead your client, your athlete, in a way that hey, if they don't have the confidence that they need, how do you lift up? Which brings it into number 10 is great coaches inspire uh, their athletes and get them to believe in themselves, sometimes even more than they believe in themselves. The best coaches get others to believe in themselves more than they probably believe in themselves. So that's what I believe when it comes to like being great listeners and then leading.
That's so important. When I was listening to you, I was thinking that's so true because a lot of times we have negative self-talk. And for whatever reason, that coach believes in me, but I don't always believe in myself. And that's what the importance of getting a coach, whether that's a training coach, a business coach, whatever you're a coach, but you still need coaches because like you said, a lot of times you're going to find somebody that's going to be like, man, Todd really believes in me. I'm not even believing in myself. It's such an important piece of it.
Yeah. And also, it's one thing to say, oh, and Todd really believes in me. But what if I don't have the character where they're looking up to me as a coach that's living life the right way? And I think that's where the habits come in. Because if you're stacking the right habits, all you do when you stack habits, you build character. And when you have the right character and your athletes, your clients, I don't care how old they are, young or old, and they're like, this is what she's about, this is what he's about, and this is how they walk and live their life. Well, then all of a sudden, when you're believing in them, they're like, man, you ever hear this? He's built different, or she's built different. No, you're not built any different than anyone else. You just have certain characteristics and traits that you've been stacking with habits that allow someone to say, man, she's doing things the right way or he's doing things the right way. You believe in them. And then all of a sudden their belief level goes up because a believer in them believes in them, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So to me, it's where it comes full circle as a coach. I think that's where you get into the upper, 1 to 5% of coaches is you're doing things the right way. You're constantly, pouring into your clients, your athletes, those who you influence and coach.
Absolutely. Again, that's why I felt like, man, I don't know, should that be number one? That right? Like you have to get it's almost like the oxygen mask, right? Pull down the oxygen mask, take care of yourself first, show that you're doing these things.
Well, listen, here's the thing. If I'm not listening and I'm not leading, if I'm not listening to you, you shut off because I don't care about you. right? Like if I'm not listening and you're here to train and I'm in my own world and I'm on my phone, like you're like, he don't care. Then how are you going to show him you care?
True.
And if they're like, he don't care, they ain't coming back. Culture's built in the weight room. It all starts. I don't care what sport. I don't. That's why the strength and conditioning coach in college, university, in the pros, in high school, it's a crucial job. Can you help your athletes or not? It's can you help them achieve what they want to achieve?
Trade for, not that it confused me, but great coaches coach people from the inside out instead of the outside in.
Pastor Jeremiah is one of the most legendary, iconic Christian pastors of our time. He's on TV every Sunday. If you guys watch TV, you see him on that. And I've been training him, and here he is. Now he's in his 80s, but he was in his like early 70s, and he came into me because his grandson was training. He was a quarterback. His grandson, and he would sit in the lobby and he would watch. And I knew who he was because everyone knows, Pastor Jeremiah is kind of a legendary kind of guy, and he's got a very distinct look. So he'd watch me. And then one day after a few months, he said, "Hey, can I do some of this training with you? I can't train like these guys train or your NFL guys train, but I'd like that." It was some of the best just sessions and experiences of my life working with him. He said, "You know why I train with you 3 times a week? You're always talking about the inside, the side that you can't really put an actual value to." He goes, "You train me from the inside out, and I've watched you for a long time now. You train everyone you work with from the inside out." And that struck with me. Like, I was like, that's interesting. I would have never said that, but I think he's right. Like, I think the best coach I know have a way to tap into the inside. And I don't know if the inside is just get your mind right, which I, in this book, say is a separate thing.
Yeah.
I'm talking more about how can I empower someone, their body, mind, and soul. It all works together, body, mind, and soul. Because when you feel convicted that you have a mission, a divine mission that you're under, well, I just had someone confirm, Pastor Jeremiah, like, you train people from the inside out. I'm like, that's really good. And the coaches that I see now, the best coaches in the world, regardless of their belief system, I do believe they coach people from the inside out. They get the soul stirring to where a young kid or an old man or woman, they want to achieve a certain level of success and significance personally so they can live their divine anointment.
Love it. And I love that you were kind of mentioning about learning from Pastor Jeremiah, right? Because a lot of times and I've told this to younger trainers, a lot of times when you're the people that, usually can afford to train, they probably are successful themselves on some level. They have a nice business. You can learn a lot from your clients. And even in my book, I was saying, like, take some of your clients out to lunch. Tell them, I want to take you to lunch. I want to talk about something different. I don't want to talk about, squats and all this stuff. Although we have great conversations, you can get pretty deep taking them, go buy them lunch, and you'll get some really good wisdom from some of these people. I can't tell you how many amazing conversations. So it's kind of a good segue to my next question. In Coaching Greatness, part 2, you have members of your coaching tree contributing to your book. So 21 members of your coaching tree contributing to your book about their experience. Todd, what did you learn? Like when you read over their submissions, what are some things that you learned, maybe not only about yourself, but just in general about coaching or about them or anything?
Man, gratitude. Any coach listening in right now, we don't even know the impact we have on the people that we have it on. Like, you don't even know until 5 years from now, later on, someone says, I used to train with you and you said something then, you don't even remember saying it, right? Like, and the reason I share that is because I can't tell you how many times, especially recently and just in this new season and phase I'm in, that I hear that. I've been following you for 15 years. And I'm like, I didn't know you, right? And I was like, wow, that's crazy. But I say it because gratitude with these 21 in this case of this is, you think about a coaching tree, and I used to think of Coach Wolf and his coaching tree and how many coaches he put out that have won, quote, championships, have been impacted thousands and tens of thousands of young men and women's lives. Like, to me, you look at the top coaches. I'm a football guy by trade, but you look at any of the top coaches in the world, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, lacrosse, whatever it is, and they'll have coaching trees. But I never really thought about a coaching tree inside fitness. And I'm like, interesting when you stop and reflect, because I've had a mastermind group now for 18 years. And I'm like, man, we got a lot of great people who have come up through the mastermind group and maybe been part of other groups as well, because there's other coaching trees out there, like any sport. And I started reading these chapters from some of the people in tears. Number one, some of the stories I know, some of them I did not even know the depth of what they shared. And these are shorter chapters, but you start thinking, man, like, we have some people who are creating significant impact. And for me, it used to be I want to impact 10 million people. Now it has grown over the last year and a half that, hey, how am I going to impact 100 million people? The only way I can ever get close to that number is through other coaches creating impact. And each of these people, and the dozens or hundreds that I'm impacting through the mastermind group now, is that they are impacting hundreds or thousands of people on that. So I have some specific kind of standout. Obviously, all of them are special, but ones that speak kind of deep, and I got me choked up of those stories. But for me, it's about these 21 people committed to do something and did it. And now on an everyday basis, whether it be 5 a.m. on a Monday morning or on a weekend, because they're teaching a half day of retreat in their jurisdiction, community, wherever they're at, and are doing amazing things.
Incredible. And I know another good segue now, because you've been on a tear with your new fitness venture franchise, Impact X Performance. And so just give us an overview of this. And like, I want to know why this isn't called like Fitness Quest 10 Performance, and why that's not franchise, or, how is this different? How did this all come about?
I'll point up top. The big man up top, honestly, like, I couldn't have forecasted this 25 years ago. And True Strength, the book True Strength, of what I wrote about, it's all in there, the entire story. But when I was going through my very, very difficult 3.5 year period, I had a lot of analyzing and assessment of where business is and where it's going. And one thing I realized is I had built in 25, or at that time 20 years, something that is hard to replicate. It's hard to replicate. There's 42 trainers. There's a lot of moving parts. And with where we're at as an industry, I couldn't replicate that. Like, it'd be too much. You take some of this, the best characteristics, and okay. The second part was I brought Jeff Bristol, my business partner, into Fitness Quest 10. I said, Jeff, run the shop. I need to go out and I need to evangelize in the world and turn the light on with people all over the place. And I want to get into actually replicating facilities that I believe that we can scale the impact in that. So Jeff has done an admirable job at FQ10. I'm still at FQ10. I still train at FQ10. It's still part of who I am and my background, but my focus is on Impact X Performance. And Impact X Performance is where I'm able to take fitness recovery life coaching, which I've been doing coaching now for 18 years, like life coaching other business coaches, fitness trainers, and entrepreneurs, and integrating it into the fitness. So you have fitness recovery, life coaching, all in a faith-based franchise. Now, that doesn't mean someone's got to be of faith to go to Fitness Quest 10. We've got all different faiths, including atheist, agnostic, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, like everybody. But if someone wants more faith growth and development, then we have opportunities for them for discipleship if they choose to do so. Looking back, we've always had that. I've always had that at Fitness Quest 10. It's always been a faith-based business. I just haven't been as that spoken. That's what it is. And I went through hell, and through 2020 through 2023, I'm like, guys, I'm not hiding. I had nothing to hide. Like, here's what got me through this. Without my belief in God and getting through a very difficult time, I'd be dead right now. I'd be a mere memory of this industry. I said, nope. Next decade, I'm going hard, and it's called Impact X Performance. Be the light, and we want the best fitness, and that means personal training, semi-private, and group. We have all three, like we've always had. So we have all that. We have recovery. 2019, my Perform Better talk. before the pandemic was all about how recovery needs to be integrated into fitness more. I gave the actual model that really now is Impact X Performance. And that was 6 years ago. So that was my 2019 talk before it became so in vogue. And then life coaching, through all this in 2020, early 23, I created my own life coaching certification program, the Todd Durkin Impact Life Coaching Certification Program. We now have 67 certified impact life coaches, because part of my vision is I want to go into colleges and universities, and I want to have a degree program where young men and women can go through our program and get certified to become life coaches, that they can start to work on their program to assist other and mentor people in college. Now, does that mean that you're going to have a 23, 25-year-old life coach? No, they don't have enough wisdom yet behind them. But if they get into our system and can learn that, whether you're 37, 57, or 27, to have the principles of life coaching and how you can use that, we are now offering that inside of Impact X Performance. When someone comes in and trains or does recovery, they have the ability for life coaching. My 10 forms of wealth, 3 and 30, all the systems that I've created over the past 18 years in that system. So again, it's kind of been a godly thing in that sense of like, how did all this come to fruition? I can't tell you, other than I've been around a long time and been studying with some pretty smart people. And then through my vision and through my own personal journey and work, it's like, hey, Impact X Performance, it's a brick and mortar facility. It's about 3,000 square feet, and it combines training and recovery, integrates life coaching because you don't need extra brick and mortar for life coaching. And it's in a faith-based, valued business that allows one to be inspired and empowered to live their best life.
Todd, can you just expand on the faith piece? Because this has never been done before in fitness, right? I've never, like we talked about, I've been on doing this for 18 years. We've never had somebody, we've had business coaches on. We've never had somebody kind of go in this direction. Maybe like you said, you've been doing it the whole time, but now it's actually out in the front. It's front facing now. What does that really mean for somebody? Is that like you said, it doesn't have to be the consumer doesn't have to be faith-based, but obviously if you're going to work there, you're going to own this, one of the franchises, it's going to help to be like, so what does that mean for people?
Yeah, no, good question, Ant. I think there's always like a good, better, best scenario when it comes to that, like how we deliver it anyway. Like
Sure.
from a person who's going to become a business partner with me in this venture, is we want someone at least of faith-based values and is a believer and wants to have a business that is going to give back, right? Like we want to be able to give back.
Okay.
So there's different ways that we deliver it. For example, on a very low level, we have our emails, our Soul Fuel emails that go out to our members every week. If they opt in and they want that, they're going to have the ability to receive faith-based emails that go out and are from the Word. Every Saturday, we have the option at our facilities to have our soul, we call it Sweat and Soul, our Sweat and Soul class. It's a workout. Imagine a group class. You got that on Saturdays. If you want to go to the Sweat and Soul class, when that class is over, you got the soul portion. That's a 20 to 30 minute soul portion. Think of it like a sermon. Think of it like almost like this is your opportunity to get quiet time. Some people call it meditation. I always say, hey, call it meditation, call it quiet time, call it breath, or call it prayer. I call it prayer. So when you're going through it and you're actually going through that, and our franchise business owners are instructed on how they can do that, breath work, meditation, and prayer, how they can deliver that once a week, then awesome. Now we have folks who are going deeper on that. We have people who are not doing less, but not as like, hey, I want to offer a every Sunday sermon kind of a thing. Awesome. Go ahead and do it. We want people to use our place as a sanctuary. And I've said that for 25 years. Gyms are sanctuaries. I want to be a sanctuary. I want people coming to us in the best of times and certainly in the worst of times. When they face hell and they have no one to turn to, I want them coming to the gym. I want them coming to Impact X Performance or FQ10. I want them coming to your place because it's a place where they feel not just a great workout, but where their body, mind, and soul is nurtured. So with Impact X Performance, I'm as outspoken as I've ever been. Is like, here's who I am. Be like, man, you could probably do it more. I can, but I'm just listening to God, what He wants me to do right now. And like, I'm showing up. and I can deliver a great experience and session for our people who are doing training sessions or that. And it's not like holy roller, like we're just thumping Bibles and stuff like, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Let's focus on what you do best, do that. And listen, if you want opportunity to connect deeper on that, or you want to go out for a breakfast or dinner, or you want to get together at the beach or go in the mountains and go deeper in life, fantastic. You got opportunities to do that. To me, it's about taking other great human beings who want to go deep and live their best life. And that's what Impact X Performance is all about.
Love it. Great job. And I can't let you leave without talking a little bit about your foundation, because I know the book, you did a speaker summit in March that, all the proceeds went to that, your foundation. I love your foundation. So I want you to just give everybody an overview so they know all about this, because there's some proceeds to Coaching Greatness that are going as well to the foundation.
Yeah. 2012 Hurricane Sandy hit the Jersey Shore where I'm from, Brick, New Jersey. And I think we all suffer tragedies at certain points of our lives, right? If you've been around the block for a little while, like most people, stuff happens. When that happened for me, I had my come to Jesus moment of like, man, I got to do something. I can't just sit out here in San Diego and like train people and like all is good over here in this corner of the universe. So sorry that y'all are going through this. That's where my wife Melanie and I we created a foundation called the Impact Foundation, and the Durkin Impact Foundation is to give back. 100% of everything we raise goes back to, now it's grown. It used to just be for education, kids going to college, student athletes that we train around the country going to college, we would scholarship them. Well, that has grown, and since this time we've raised over $375,000. Is part of it goes to well, I'll just say it, suicide prevention and mental health, because I had two athletes during the pandemic, my 3.5 years of my own stuff, commit suicide. And these are kids I coached. These are kids I coached and never saw it. These are kids who are in my huddle that I didn't see it. And I'm like, no, no, no. So now when I say 100% of our money goes back to suicide prevention and mental health, and we just scholarshiped 17 kids last week for colleges. We have different initiatives throughout the year, and at the Impact X Performance, I say giving back a portion of what we do, both at our Montana retreat coming up this November. We have different initiatives at the retreat. We have different events, like you mentioned, the Impact Summit. We have different events that 100% goes back to give back to people who need it more than we need it, people who are really struggling on that. So that's something that I want to go more into in the next decade, and go deeper and deeper in the next few years on the foundation, and how we can go from, raising the money we raise now, tens of thousands of dollars a year, to one where it becomes a full-fledged foundation, separate entity of like, we want to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, a year through the Durkin Impact Foundation, and use fitness and mindset and health and soul to fuel people's lives and go out and save people and help families and that, because there's a lot of people who are hurting now. I know this, it all goes through the gym. It all goes through the gym. And I know this, there's no better place to change a life than the gym. I know that. I've experienced it for 25 years. It starts with the physical mindset, the physical conditioning and training that affects the mindset. So the training and the mindset go hand in hand. You sprinkle in that soul set, and when that kid comes in, or that man or woman comes in, just lost another friend 3 days ago to suicide, my age, 54, suicide, and many know him. And it's like, it's everywhere. So I'm like, it's my responsibility, like many other people's responsibilities, to not just see, oh, it's a shame that he did that or she did that. It's like, no, no, no. Part of Impact X Performance and the Impact Foundation and everything I'm doing is to do everything I can to give back and make a difference, because we got one life, man. We got one life, and it's not guaranteed. And I know this, the longer I've been in this game, I don't take a darn huddle for granted. I don't take a single darn perform better session for granted. I don't take a session for granted on that stuff. So that's what the Impact Foundation is about. And when it's all said and done someday, and I'm done, I want to say that the Impact Foundation, generated millions of dollars and gave back to all these different charities, and look what they did. And like, there's thousands of people who are impacted because of our coaching programs and Impact X Performance and Fitness Quest 10. Like, these are all vehicles that change lives. All these are vehicles that change lives. And to me, that's what we do and why we do it. And that's why I'm in this field.
Love it. Love it. You know what? Not to bring it down on a bad note, but personally, I lost my older brother to suicide 18 years ago. So I know the impact it has on the other way.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like with the family and you know, friends and just, you know, the community, how deep that cuts. So I'm really glad you're doing that. I appreciate you, brother. And you know, trait 6, great coaches are continuously learning and growing. So I will see you in Chicago next week at the Perform Better Summit. Todd, thanks for doing this. Thanks for being so vulnerable. And this is why you're so successful. I think, you know, you've always put yourself out there. You know, you've always been transparent. Everybody, you know, even when you're talking about bad stuff, the energy is there. So it's awesome. We love you. So Todd, thanks for doing this, bro.
And thank you. And I'll share this with anyone listening in. I hope you be in the room for one of those Perform Better shows. And do me a favor. If you are and you listen to this show, please come and let me know you listen to the show. Because I know Ant, you know, commits to doing the show. And it always brings me oxygen. Literally, I mean this. Like, when I know someone listened and it made a difference in some way. Hey, I listened to that show with Anthony Reyna, you know, and I'm like, oh, Rena's the man. Like, awesome. That to me is this community of coaches and trainers that we need to stick together. We need to grow together on that stuff. So let me know, whether it be, I'll be in Chicago, I'll be in Providence. Unfortunately, I will not be in Long Beach, but my team will be in Long Beach, as I'll be in Nova Scotia on that. And then if any of you guys want to be in Montana at the in November in 25, you know, let me know that you listen to this podcast, and anything I can do to help anyone listening in. Listen, I'm on all the time. It's what makes me tick, man. So, Ant, thank you for everything you're doing, brother.
All right. Thanks, Todd.